Welcome back to JDM Legends presented by Turn 14 Distribution. With the engine finally back in the hole, it is time we do some tasty performance upgrades. Everything really is twice as complex with twin turbos. That took a lot longer than I expected, but as you can see, we do have our GREDDY intake piping kit bolted in place. It is 90% there. I unfortunately made the mistake of ordering the kit for the mass airflows, which we will not be running because we are going to a map-based setup, so we'd have two little intakes here. So what I'm gonna do is, I actually reached out to GREDDY, and those guys are amazing. They do have black, which are going to be nicer than these yellow universal air filters, a small size for 3-inch that are going to go right here. I will have to use a little bit of vibrant 3-inch tubing to extend these out, but I will have a couple here. And I was a little bit worried. I thought, you know what? Are we going to have to do some polishing, DP? Because polishing metal is never fun, but Vibrant, thank you. Thank you for making your aluminum piping polished. We're not going to have to do much, just chop it and put the filters on. So that's gonna happen, might actually happen this episode if those filters arrive soon. I do have them on the way. So apparently RBs love to spit power steering belts, especially on the racetrack. And I didn't know that until one of you reached out, Will Long, thank you so much for getting in touch with me. And he actually sent me this kit from Ross Performance Parts, which apparently, once we get it on, I'll show you how it works, but it adds a lot more tension to the belt and avoids it from getting, tossed. Will also is a big fan of FDs and FCs, or he's a rotary guy, and thank you for the sticker. Yeah, thank you for the sticker. He also competes in Global Time Attack and does have an R32, so he knows what he's talking about. So here you can see that is the extra pulley that's gonna add a little bit of extra tension. However, the belt that I have here, which is a 990 millimeter belt, is just a tad too short. I've got the power steering pump like cranked all the way in, and it's close, but I bet you I need one that's like 1,000 or 120. So I'm gonna order that up real quick, and we'll get back to this. But right now, let's start bolting on the intercooler. Here is the stock intercooler, and actually looking at it right now, it is quite large considering, for a stock vehicle. And these are pretty good for the guys that are boosting up the stock turbos and trying to make a little bit more power. But of course, we are trying to make bigger power and have better cooling efficiency. And that, what I have done is I've gone with this beautiful GREDDY Type F intercooler. And really the huge advantage to this one, obviously it's got a bigger core, is that this bolts right into the factory location without any type of modification. There's a lot of other intercoolers out there, including GREDDY has other ones that are much bigger, but they require cutting up the front beam and relocating some stuff. This is a full bolt-on, which is pretty awesome. And of course, the tube and fin design does make it quite light, and I love the way it looks. I'm a huge fan of the tube and fin design. Man, this thing is a beautiful piece. I'm loving it. Of course, bolted up like butter, no issues. The thing to note is we had to add this bracket here that they include, obviously. On the factory one, there are 2 mounting points over here, which they don't use for obvious reasons, the complexity of doing that. And now I'm going to finish off the hot side with another piece of GREDDY piping. I do have like the full GREDDY kit, so I think it's gonna look good. And I know some of you are gonna comment, whoa, what about the blue couplers? I thought you were thinking about getting rid of them, and you know what, I still am. I might change them out, but for now I'm gonna run them, see how they look. I kind of like it. It feels very like
it's a classic JDM look.
Yeah. It kind of feels like authentic GREDDY.
Yep.
And I feel like I'd be maybe cheating them if I changed that out.
Yeah. I think it's worth mentioning too that it's like all cast piping and cast end.
Yeah. Like this end tank is beautiful, and the way it's cast and polished. There's a lot of time and effort spent that goes into it. Yeah, for sure. Now for the other side here, you can see we are reusing this factory transition piece that goes into the chassis, and you'll see why once we get to the blow-off valve. But I'm really starting to like the blue, DP. Yeah. I know we just mentioned it, but the blue and the chrome, they're certainly flashy, but I do like it. I like it quite a bit. Let's get these bolted down, and I'll show you what we got for a blow-off valve. We are doing away with the complex twin blow-off valve system on the stock unit and going with a GREDDY type FV blow-off valve. And I was just looking at the box and realized this blow-off valve actually has 2 springs in it. And the top spring, what they say is what it does is it helps alleviate the valve from opening at like low speed or very low vacuum, and just gets rid of any of those like weird hiccups you would get with driving around with one of these. So it makes it more of an OEM thing, which is really cool. And of course, everything is made to bolt up to the stock location and fit up, which I can't get enough of. It's been so nice to be able to work with everything like this, that you can just like fit up. I don't have to do any type of modification. You can see this thing's just gonna bolt up like this. Once I can fit it into here, oh yeah. Unfortunately, I was looking for some vibrant silicone couplers here, but I have to reuse the old ones, which, you know, it's not ideal. I'd like to reuse or get some new ones, but that is what it is. Let me get this all bolted up and we'll show you what it looks like, but already so much cleaner than the factory unit. And as you can see, that is the final pipe that leads to the intake, which completes the whole system. And look what has arrived. The 3-inch small-sized GREDDY air filters. These are their universal units, as I mentioned. These are brand new in black, which I think are gonna look really nice. You can see I've cut the vibrant piping here, and now we can fit all of this up and finish the plumbing system here. It's not without a battle. Everything here, like I said, is just so tight with the twin turbo system. You can see, for whatever reason, that the blow-off valve piping here is just touching it just enough. You just can't slip it on. Now,
it's almost as if a rational man would have gone single turbo.
You're right, DP. Someone rational. I am definitely not rational, and I am definitely committed to the craft of twin turbos here, as so many people love them. But the more I look at it, you know, from a time perspective and a complexity perspective, yeah, I think the single is the way to go, and I'm sure from a performance perspective too, not having to deal with any of the you know, weird issues with the twins. I remember Adam LZ was just talking about how with his twins, there's just like a weird transient response when he gets back on them. So there's certainly drawbacks to them, but like, look at this. Is this not the definition of like cool, sure. 90s Japanese coolness? Look at this. It's just so rad. I told myself I wouldn't go down this rabbit hole, but here I am yet again, trying to get all of the ugly hose clamp fittings here rotated to the other side. You can see I've hid these. That one, getting to the back there, was a bit of a nightmare, but it just looks so much cleaner, and these are such an eyesore. These aren't going to be the issue. These I'll be able to rotate, but you can see this one right here, it's like right behind here. So, but I think I'm going to be able to get a small little ratchet in there, or maybe I'll get an 8mm with a wobble on here, DP, and I think I can... a
wobble is...
Yeah, just like this, something like this. And we'll get that squared away and hidden. Wow, that small little detail rotating the clamps here, I think has just made this engine bay look so much cleaner, so much nicer. I don't ever want to have to service these in the middle of, you know, a track day or something, because they're incredibly hard to get to. But we'll just admit that right now. My belt came in for the power steering one. I did get a longer one. So this is the, I think, this is a 40-inch one, so it's just for you guys that want to know. It's a 4PK1015. And now with it in here, you can see it just now adds this extra amount of tension here, so it's going to reduce this from spitting it. And of course, it is a Continental branded one, so the best tire company in the world does make these belts, which means they're going to work well. And here's an interesting thing that I just recently learned. So the ribs, the way they're cut here, you can see these reliefs, they quiet these belts down tremendously. So if you have a belt at home that's squealing and you're annoyed and you've checked all your pulleys and it's not your pulleys, it's likely your belt, and go out and get one of these and it's going to quiet it down. It is radiator time, and of course we are using our favorite brand, Koyo Rad. This is their all aluminum 48mm core for the R34 GTR, and we do have the stock one just here for comparison, and it is staggering. Just take a look at this, people, how thin this rad is. And that's just the beginning for me. If you guys come up closely here, you can see on this side, they've like pinched the inlets down to fit onto the core here. Yeah. Which is kind of crazy. And of course, in typical fashion, look at the amount of goop. Look at this. Like, this is already reduced with it bottlenecking here, the flow. Yeah. Look at the amount of silicone that they use there. Like, it's impressive that did not like loosen itself and end up dumping out somewhere. Right. So here's a quick interesting thing. So this whole pitwork deal, I just learned pitwork is actually a part of Nissan, or makes parts for Nissan, because I just did get an oil filter that says pitwork from the Nissan dealership. So interesting tidbit. But anyways, if you look at this one again, we have just a much larger core. This thing is going to be a full drop-in replacement. So let's get it in there, and then we can look at how it fits up. All right. Now, that the only downside to rads that are usually larger like this is that the fan shrouds now certainly do move closer to the engine, but I'm confident that we're still going to have all the room we need. There it is. The Koyo Rad high pressure rad cap is in place, and this thing fits up like a dream. We did have to reuse the factory hoses. DP, I tried to source some Samcos. I was hoping you would do the same that I did for you and source me some, but that just didn't come together. You're just such a GTR hater.
I was too busy looking at the Type R back there, to be honest.
Yeah, that's it. So anyways, this is all in place now. This is starting to look like a complete engine bay. There is one last thing we want to do here before the day is done, though. Well, that went much better than expected. I thought we were gonna have to do a lot of customization, but thankfully on this side, for example, we were able to mount this catch can down here. There were 2 holes on the shock tower. I did need to clearance the radium mount just slightly, but I was able to get this thing bolted up. You can see it's got lots of room here, and what I really like, it's down low, it's kind of like tucked away. Before we thought we might want to tuck it up here, like mount it here, but it was just so big and bulky and high that I didn't think it was gonna work. So it fit in here perfectly. And of course you can see the lines, they run up without a lot of bulk, and like, hey, look, there's a catch can set up here. So I certainly do like that. I love the way they've done this like transition pipe with these 2 little clips here. So, and over here, if this was not a car that I was trying to keep all original, I would certainly have taken this mount. As you guys saw, I put double-sided tape on it and stuck it to the shock tower. I would have just like drilled a couple holes, put some riv nuts in there, and then hard mounted this, but I did not want to do that. And thankfully with the tape on here, it seems to be holding, with the double-sided tape, it seems to be holding well. I find a lot of, in these types of scenarios, the hoses themselves add a bunch of rigidity, so you can see it's just created that nice like stiffness here, but still has a little bit of play. And we've got a nice clean route this way, and of course back into the intake here. I do want to mention that 99% of the parts in this video, I think everything except that power steering pulley, are available through Turn 14 distribution. And I know so many of you come to us and say, Turn 14 is a wholesaler, how do I buy parts from them? Well, you buy parts from them through your local performance shop. And really the question you gotta be asking your performance shop is, are they a Turn 14 customer? And if they're not, should you be shopping there? Because they do have access to companies like GREDDY, like Radium, like Koyorad. So they've got all the performance parts you need. And I do want to give a huge shout out to Turn 14 Distribution for sponsoring this video series, because without them, tasty, beautiful builds like this GTR would not be happening. So we certainly appreciate the support. And for you guys, support them because they do certainly support us. All right, guys, that is going to be a wrap on this episode. And goodness, I'm just feeling so relieved and so happy with how everything is turning out in the engine bay. I think it's all coming together so well. But there is still a bunch of work left. We do have to do all of the electrical stuff, which I am not looking forward to, and all of the exhaust and that stuff. So stay tuned for the next one, where we're gonna hopefully complete this thing and get it all together. I'm not gonna promise we're gonna fire it up, but that is also coming very soon. So as always, guys, if you loved this video, give me a like. If you liked this video, then give me a thumbs up. And if you didn't like the video or you hated the video, hit that subscribe and notification bell, so every time you see a video you don't like, you can come here and post in the comments. And of course, for all of you guys that did like the video, let me know in the comments, what do you think of the engine bay? Is it coming together well? Is it crazy? Should we have gone single turbo? Do you love the twins? Let us know, guys.